Good evening. This is Melissa Russell with Women in Motorsports on the Twist Talk Network. I'd like to welcome all of you tonight to our radio show. And our guest tonight is Denise. She's on there with us. And Denise is a familiar face and a familiar name if you go to Springport or probably some of the other tracks around. She and I had time to talk a little bit last night. So I'm going to ask her some questions like always, but she's got a great story and she's going to share it with us. So I'm going to let her do most of the talking tonight. So Denise, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, what you do when you're not at the racetrack, and then tell us about your racing story.
Well, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. And well, I'm getting up there in age. I'm 53, so I've been around this sport since I was probably about 10 years old, and traveling across the country and visiting all different types of racetracks. As a young girl, back in that day, girls were not allowed. Women, girls, anybody was, unless you were a man, you weren't allowed in the pits. And so my family dressed me up like a boy, cut my hair short, had a ball cap on, and they called me Denny. And this is how I started getting involved in racing
Wow,
at a very young age.
yeah. So how many years did you have to pretend you were a boy in the summer?
probably probably two or three. Most everybody there knew I wasn't. It was just
They
they
overlooked it. They just
right. They overlooked it. They overlooked it because I worked hard for the team. I did, I not only did I do lap times, I took, tire pressures and I wrenched on the car. So um, they just let me do what I needed to do and help the family out. It
so
was.
do you remember how long it's been since they've now let women in the pits?
I don't know. I don't know. It was right around that time though. I don't believe it was very much longer. Um, that they did start allowing women in pits. Girls still were not allowed. I mean, to see how far this sport has gone with women is amazing. Amazing. Now you see these young girls driving these cars and I am so proud of them and knowing that I may not have been the only one paving the way, but I was helping pave the way for us women to be involved in this amazing sport that we have here.
I absolutely agree with that because I think you proved your worth when you were in there. And
Right.
yeah, and so probably worked harder than some of the guys did. So that's amazing. I love that story. So I know you've been involved with race teams and racing for a long time. So how are you involved in racing right now?
Today, I am the head scorer over at Springport Mid Michigan Speedway every Saturday night, and then when available, I help RW Motorsports out and do track photography as well at Oregon Oil Speedway, at Kalamazoo Speedway, and Galesburg Speedway.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the photography part. I think you had some photos that were um, awarded or got awarded something. Why don't you tell us about that?
I did. This was my last year was my first year actually doing a track, and I took over kind of Corrigan Oil Speedway last year for Woody, so that he could do Kalamazoo, and and one night there would just happened to be a horrific accident, and I got the shot, and of course whenever there's a horrific accident involved, while you're taking pictures, you don't want to even look at them until you know that everybody involved is okay. Um, but once we found out that the young man was going to be okay, and I looked at the pictures and I was just dumbfounded at how amazing they turned out. And that photo ended up being in the top 10 of speed51.com for the photo of the year. I didn't win photo of the year, but I think a top 10 for my first season is an amazing accomplishment in that feat
I would
right
say,
there.
yeah, I would say as well, that's an amazing accomplishment. So, the rest of us, we only take pictures with our phone nowadays. I don't even know
I
where my
know.
camera is. So we're spoiled, but you can't get those kind of shots with your phone usually. So that's pretty great. So
Right.
I had a question, and you can answer as you like. It said, when you were when you what car did you pit with, or did you help in any way? I think it was a family member. Is that right?
It was
So
my uncle. Yes, my uncle raced ASA, and so
right,
we traveled all over. And it was my uncle's car. It was our family. We took care of the stuff there.
right. That's kind of what I thought when we had talked last night. So you must have traveled to a lot of tracks. Do you have a favorite track?
A favorite track would probably be Salem, Indiana.
Really? And
I
why is
love Salem. I love Salem. I mean, it's like a little. It's the same size as Bristol, but it's you know just local racing more than like the big NASCAR event where you can just go anywhere on the track. You can actually walk the banking, and when I've been there with ASA or ARCA, we're pushing the cars up and down those bankings because the haulers wouldn't go in, and it's just amazing. I That place, I love it. That Winchester, some really high banked racetracks are my favorites. So
okay? Well, I'm going to have to put Salem on my list now that you've said that.
must.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite kind of racing to watch? Do you like sprints? Do you like late models? What's your favorite?
I am about speed. So I would take an Outlaw Super Late model. I would take a wing sprint. I would take a modified.
Okay.
We have right now this year at Springport Michigan Speedway, our sportsman division is kicking butt. It is kicking butt. They are so competitive. They are so fast. It's an amazing division out there this year. So that one's right up there too.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's happening at Kalamazoo as well. And Gales,
Mhm.
I mean, those cars are really, they're getting good car counts, and the races have been really good. So it
Phenomenal.
might be kind of the trend maybe this year.
Right, right. It's
Yeah.
amazing racing going on. That's
So,
for sure.
so after, you're off in the winter and you know that the first night of racing is coming up, although I know you've already had that, but what gets you excited? What is it about racing that makes you want to go back and be a scorer at the track or do any other kind of job? What calls you to that?
Well, my day job is I work at General Motors, so I build cars for a living, and I really don't need this as a job financially. I do it because of my love for the sport, and it's just grown over the years. It's never gotten small. If I can go to a race in the middle of winter, I'm there. I will find an indoor race to go to or a monster jam or anything. So the thought of being able to get to my home track, um, see my family. It's not just drivers and other people. That's my family. To get there and see everybody and just mingle and get hugs and find out how everybody's doing, and then the smell of of
Uh,
the race cars and it's just, I don't know, the heart pounding. It just it reminds you you're alive.
yeah. I say this every week, but the one thing that is the constant theme of every person I've interviewed is when I ask them, what is it about that brings you back? It's the people. It,
Yes.
it's the people. And it's a family, and people in other sports don't get that. You don't get that from a baseball team or a soccer team. I mean, yes, you're friends, but it's a totally different feeling, and you can't explain that to somebody.
How you take somebody that is their rivals on the track, but yet turn around and are best friends off the track.
Yeah.
And they can just get along with each other so well off the track, but yet they race each other hard on the track. It's just fun watching a lot of those relationships and seeing the people race. And I don't know, it's just when the cars go by, your heart beats a little faster. Now, I know with scoring for me, I do a mindless job. So on Saturday nights, that's all brain. I have, it works my brain. So maybe it's keeping me one day out of dementia. I'm not sure yet. But I
Yeah.
love doing it. It's exciting. And I have one of the best views in the house. I think there's only two other views that are better, and that's the flag stand or the driver's seat.
Yeah. So tell me about that. Have you ever driven a car?
I have. I started racing when I was 16, out at Spartan Speedway and Owasso Speedway. I then moved and started racing down south at Somerville, South Carolina. That was a NASCAR sanctioned track. I started out in a street stock, and then I raced a 4-cylinder at Somerville, and I raced all the way over to Lake Geneva, Illinois, and then when I came back to Michigan, I raced the Allison Lake series for a while too, and helped with doing instruction. I did driving school for them too.
Okay. So you've done a lot of different jobs in racing. What has been your favorite one?
My favorite, I'm I'm not sure if I can. I like to be involved some way. With having my family, I was so involved with that race team that I always just going and sitting in the grandstands is amazing, and I try and do that as often as I can when I have time off. Um, but it's just anything to be part of the team and help the sport grow and make it as good of a program for not only the fans but the participants as well. So
Okay. So, how many women are there? Are there a lot of women that work at Mid Michigan? I know it's Springport Mid Michigan Speedway, right? So,
right,
are
yes,
there very many women that race or work there?
we have several women that race, and don't ask me what their names are. I'm not sure yet. I know numbers, not
Yeah.
names. So, and then we do have several women that work um, the pit side and helping, line up cars and do payouts. And there's a lot of things that women can do in this sport. So don't think that just because you're female, you can't do something, because you can tech a car. You can actually be out on that track, being part of the safety crew. You can be up in the tower. You can be selling tickets at the gate. You can just even walk in the pits and ask a driver, is there something I can do to help you? And, I did that a lot as I was growing up, because I would get bored if, everything was all set with our team. I would go help other people. It was fun. It was, you met people that way, and they're family.
Yeah.
You do whatever you can to help other, even though they're your competitor, you help them out. I think that's something in this sport that other sports don't have. You don't help your competitor in
Yeah.
another sport.
That's true.
Where you'll have 5 other drivers. You break something on your car, you have 5 other drivers, even in that same division, coming over and helping getting that taken care of for you.
Yeah. And you see that at pretty much every track
Every track, every
that I've
track.
been to. I mean, you do see that, and that the other thing I think that we're a little bit spoiled about that other sports don't do is you can get so close to the actual drivers, the athletes. Like even NASCAR,
Even
you can get those special passes, the hot passes to get down, and you can still get pretty close even with just the regular pit pass. You can get close to a football player or LeBron James in basketball. I mean, it just doesn't happen.
right, right.
In this sport, where the drivers and the teams are pretty accessible, I think. So that's another reason why we love it, I think.
And I think every single driver out there, all the way from NASCAR down to our local tracks, understands that this sport wouldn't be where it is today if it wasn't for the fans. And so, um, no matter what, where you are in the realm of things, in my opinion, a local track needs NASCAR, and NASCAR also needs our local tracks. And so they combine together. We both need each other, and so you're not going to have any more pro drivers unless we have them at the local track. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, for a prime example, like our Eric Jones that came from Michigan, watching him race quarter midgets all the way up. I did his first interview when he was racing out at Owasso. He was 12 years old.
Mm,
12 years old. Never would I have thought that he would make it big in NASCAR. And look at him now. Look
yeah,
at
yeah,
an amazing young man. Amazing young man.
right.
So you just never know. You could be walking into a local racetrack and seeing your next NASCAR star.
Yeah.
You just never know.
That's true. So, in Kalamazoo here, we a lot of us are watching Carson Hocevar
Yes.
in the ARCA race over the weekend. And, it was on TV, and I was pleased to see that he got some nice press for being young and being new to that series. And so, my granddaughters raced quarter midgets against him. So we have a lot of interest in following him. But it's true, they don't just walk into a NASCAR car, they start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I like to cheer for the Eric Joneses and the Carson Hosevars that come from Michigan. So
Right.
let's talk a little bit about women in the race field. I know you said any woman, they can do anything they want to do. So
Mm-hmm.
if you had a mom come up to you and say, my little girl wants to race quarter midgets, that's all she talks about. What would be like your advice, or what would you say to her about letting her daughter get into the racing sport?
Get her a quarter midget.
Mm-hmm.
Get her a quarter midget. In racing, there is no difference between a guy and a girl behind the wheel of a car. They don't know. Nobody in the grandstands will know if that is a guy or a girl behind that car. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. And there's these young girls nowadays have so much going for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking it won't be long until we break out real big in the bigger leagues. Danica was there. She just didn't have. There's so many talented young ladies in the sport. So many that she's. It won't be long, and we're gonna see plenty more in the top levels. Get them out there, even if it's not driving. Get them out there to watch. Get them out there to, you know, check out these cars, see what it's like. There is nothing wrong with a young lady learning how to work on a car. All right, you need to learn how to change a tire. I
Mm-hmm.
have OnStar on my car, but what if I'm in a rush? I need to know how to change a tire. How about changing your own oil? Do not be dependent on somebody else to do all this stuff for you. You need to be able to do it yourself. Do I do it myself today? No, I pay. I'm more than welcome to pay somebody to do it. I'm too old to be crawling on the ground. But it didn't stop me. I remember I um I was doing a catch can for an ARCA team, and this big guy, because the gas men are huge. They got to lift up those huge tanks of gas, and this man comes up to me and just goes, "Just don't get me wet," meaning don't. I need to get my job done and get that in the hole, and then the gas will go in the car. And so I go up there, I go up to the car, and I put the can in the back of the car, and he comes up with the gas tank, and gas just starts spraying everywhere. And I'm like, oh God, this big man is going to kill me. I must have done something wrong. I have one of two choices. Either I can just go on pit road and die with a race car going to run me over, or I can go back across the wall and this big man's going to kick my butt. Come to find out, he made the mistake. And so I was able to chew him a new butt. And
Mm-hmm.
it was amazing. So I didn't do anything wrong, and I actually succeeded in my first time catching, being a catch can. I don't think they do it anymore. It tells you how long I've been in this sport.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. I took a chance, and this team let me do, something I'd never done before, and it was amazing, amazing, and it's something I'll always treasure for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Those are memories nobody can take away from you, that's for sure.
right.
So, what do your friends or your coworkers think about you being so involved in motorsports and being avid about it? When I tell people that racing or motorsports is my favorite sport, I kind of get the look, like. And so, what do your friends say?
At work, one of the things everybody looks at me like, you have a part time job? Do you realize you're working 60, 70 hours a week right now at GM? I'm like, yeah, and um, I'm going to be at the racetrack anyways, so I might as well go do something I love to do and help the team, help the track out. My friends all know that I'll see them again in the winter. If they don't want to see me at the racetrack, I'll see them in the fall. I I'm not giving up my passion for the sport. My family knows where I'm at every Saturday night. My friends know where I'm at every Saturday night. You can see me anytime. They don't seem to have a problem. I think racing has been in my life longer than my friends. So.
There you go.
even my job. So
So, do you have a most memorable moment from your life in the being involved in motorsports?
I do actually. My most memorable, I was helping Justin Allgaier out in ARCA. And we had come down to, it was 2008, and we were coming down to the last race of the season, and the championship was going to be determined at Toledo. And that year, Ricky Stenhouse and Scott Speed were 1 and 2 for points, and Justin was going in third. And he didn't have the backing like Stenhouse had Roush Racing, and Speed had Red Bull. You know, they had big money behind them, and Justin just was a little family team. And so we went in knowing that we were going to finish third, and we were happy with that. Well, Ricky Stenhouse and Speed decided to literally hand us the championship that day. And watching this young man, he is one of the most down to earth, um, godly, just amazing young men that you will ever meet in your life. Live out his dream and win that championship, and being part of it was probably the best day ever I had at a racetrack. And I wasn't even behind the wheel. I wasn't even really doing anything with the race team. I was there just to help out. And it
So
turned.
did they wreck each other? Is that what happened?
Yeah, they I think there was some stuff going on before the race. I'm not really sure what it was, but um, I believe Stenhouse got into Scott Speed first, and then Scott Speed turned around, took them both out completely for the day. And
Oh,
then Justin went on to win the race and end up winning the championship in ARCA that year, which then in turn got him the ride at Penske.
yeah,
And look at where he's at today. We're
yeah,
running for Dale Earnhardt Jr. So
right. That's
that's
a
probably one of the most memorable days I've had. I've had some really sad days at the track as well in most recent years, but um, the happier times are sure more important.
yeah, yeah. So, who is your favorite NASCAR driver?
Ooh, my favorite NASCAR driver. I'm gonna go. I have several. Anybody driving a bow tie, anybody driving a Chevrolet because I work for GM.
Right.
Um, Jimmy Johnson would probably be uh, my probably my favorite. Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney are really close behind, and then of course Eric Jones. But those
Right.
would be my picks right there.
Okay. So, if do you prefer a NASCAR race over a race at like an ARCA race or at Springport? What's if you had a choice, any race you want to go to, what would be the one that you would enjoy the most? What series?
They're all three different. You got your local level is more family. This is your family. You're going in. You know everybody. Everything is just great. ARCA is very similar to that. That's a lot of family. But yet it's more professional. You got more TVs going on, so you kind of got like it's like right in the middle. It's not really your local level yet, but it's not NASCAR either. So your drivers are very accessible. You can go up to any single driver in ARCA, and I believe they still have autograph sessions before every single race. They bring all the drivers out. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. It could be Kenny Schrader to a new person that just started that day. So you never know who you might meet at an ARCA event. And then when you go to a NASCAR event is depending on how you want to do it. It could be a big party, or it could be just one of the most amazing times that you could take your family to. I know that my boys went as young boys, and they were like they couldn't believe how fast the cars would go, and they could see their favorites because they saw them on TV, and then you put that back and you can see that going right back to your local track. This is what you do at your local track too. So if I had my pick, I go to all. I do it all.
answer. Good answer. Yeah. So, let's talk a little bit about you're the head scorer.
Mhm.
I've never done that, so I know they have transponders on their cars.
We do not run transponders at
Oh,
Spring.
Springport. Okay, so can you give us the short version of what you do, what that job entails?
Okay, well, I first start out with qualifying, and we qualify everybody in. So I keep track of everybody's lap times, and we put them into a computer program that used to be we would hand do it all, and now we have computer programs that do everything for you. It's kind of amazing. And so I do qualifying first. So each car is on the track. You just write down their number, keeping track of which time is faster. Um, I have some of the most amazing people up in the tower with me with Chris Phoebe and Sean Phoebe and another gentleman that helped me out as well. And then we go into the racing. And um, what I do is basically every time the cars come across the start finish line, you write down their order. So we're doing 16-second laps, and you have 20 cars in the field. You're writing down 20 numbers, 16 seconds. Actually, less than that. It's like 8 seconds.
Wow.
And you do it every single lap. Every single lap, you keep writing down. Like going into ARCA's gone into transponders, but I used to score for ARCA as well, and that was all. You would get one car, and every time they went across the start finish line, you wrote down the time on the clock. So it's
Okay.
really different than what I do now. But I've done this all the way since I was a young girl as well. It kept me occupied at the track. I didn't realize I was doing something that somebody got paid to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just, keeping my brain just worked so fast when I was there because I don't know why. It just did. And I don't know if it's just the adrenaline of the sport, but um am I perfect every lap? No. No, nobody is. But I'm pretty darn good. I'm pretty darn
Yeah, you must be, or they wouldn't keep having you come back.
good.
That's
Right.
what happens when you're too good at something. You you get yourself locked into the job.
Right.
So, is there anything else that you would like to share? I think we've kind of gone over my questions. I always ask my guests, what have I not asked you about? What is something you'd like to share about your life in racing?
I think being involved in racing has been the best thing that ever happened to me. And I sure hope just seeing how far women have grown in this sport from when I was a kid to today. And I'm sure it's just going to grow even more, as time goes by. These young girls can go out there, unlike they're getting better. I mean, we're playing football now, we're wrestling, but in racing, I think we are equal to anybody out there. I mean, I
The
don't, I don't, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
the car actually makes them more equal.
Right, right. Nobody knows who's driving it, if it's a girl or a guy, um, or even if it's even somebody handicapped nowadays can drive a race car. So, and it gives them something to be involved in and keeps them active. And then they have to work on their race cars during the week or in the winters. And,
Yeah.
then you get to come up with your paint scheme or your number. And there's so much involved. And then it also gets them really acclimated to working with the public and kind of like having a job. So it's teaching them at a very young age how to be responsible and not to limit yourself either.
Yeah.
Don't say that you can't do something because you can. You can. Don't limit yourself.
Right.
I've never given up on anything in my life, and I never will. And it's something I've tried to pass on to my kids, and I'm trying to pass it on to my grandchildren. Some of these younger generations don't seem to want to do anything other than video games. Get
Oh,
out to the racetrack. It
yeah.
is so much more entertaining.
Yeah.
So much more entertaining.
It is. And we all have to do our best to get those younger generations out there and invite our
No,
friends, neighbors, and that lays on all of us because we've got to keep our tracks open, and that's what it's going to take. The drivers are there. It's just we've got to get
mm-hmm.
there. So, yeah.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Well, this has been a great interview, Denise. I've
Well,
really
thank you.
talking to you. I'd let you talk more if you have anything you want to share.
I don't know. My brain's kind of fried tonight. I've been working too many damn hours.
Yeah, said you've been working a lot of hours. So, well,
Yeah,
Springport, that's on my list this year to get there at least once. So
please. And
I
come up to the tower and say hi. You're
I
more than
will come and say hello. And I appreciate you stayed up. I know you said you go to bed early because you have to get up early, but I appreciate that you stayed up
no
tonight
problem.
to be on the show with us. And thank you so much for being here. And hopefully, I'll see you either taking pictures or I'll see you at Springport.
All right, most definitely.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Uh huh.
Bye.
Bye. So that was Denise Miller Thomas. She's the head scorer at Springport Mid Michigan Speedway. And she does a lot of other cool things too. She's a photographer and a mom and a grandma, and she works. And just like most women we interview, they have a lot of hats that they wear, and she does as well. So I just want to thank everybody for listening tonight. Our radio show is sponsored by the International Women's Motorsports Association. You can find us on our website at iwmanation.com. You can find us on Facebook, International Women's Motorsports Association, and we ask you to like our page and share it with all the people that you know that race, men and women. We have as many or more men who are following us on our page as we do women, so we appreciate everybody that's doing that. And we're having a great time connecting and celebrating women all over the world, actually, with each other. And one of the ways is through our radio show. One of the ways is through the online magazine that we produce, and then obviously through our website and our Facebook page. So get on there and check it out. And if you're interested or you want to know how you can help spread the word, just reach out to me and I'll probably find some kind of job for you. So thanks again for listening tonight, and we'll see you next week.